Maybe you've had a long day, a day filled with noise, motion, and the weight of things you didn't ask to carry. Or perhaps your mind has been wandering, drifting from task to task, searching for a moment of stillness that never quite arrived. But now you are here. And in this quiet space, beneath the gentle hush of evening, you've chosen to rest, to breathe, to draw near to the teachings of Jesus as night gathers around you like a soft and sheltering cloak. As you settle in, let the air around you feel cool and unhurried. Let the shadows lengthen softly across the room. Imagine a single warm candle glowing nearby, its flame steady, calm, and unwavering, just like the love of the one who calls you to peace. Feel its golden light, resting gently on your spirit, inviting your thoughts to slow and your heart to open. The day does not need you anymore. All that is unfinished can wait for dawn. For now, you are stepping into a deeper kind of rest, not just physical rest, but the quiet refuge that comes from turning your heart toward the words of Christ. Words spoken on hillsides, washed in morning sun. Words whispered in fishing boats, rocking on peaceful waters. Words carried through crowds, through villages, through generations, until they've reached you, here, tonight. Let every breath you take become a small prayer, in and out, in and out. A gentle rhythm, like waves touching the shore. Let your shoulders loosen, let your jaw rest. Let your thoughts find room to wander softly, guided by the timeless wisdom of Jesus, his compassion, his gentleness, his quiet invitations to trust and to love. Tonight, we will walk slowly through 100 teachings of Jesus, 100 sacred truths drawn from Scripture, shaped by his voice, and offered as a pathway into divine peace. Some of these teachings will be familiar, like well-worn stones in your hand. Others may feel like fresh springs in a desert place, surprising you with their sweetness. All of them carry the same purpose: to bring your heart closer to the one who is humble and gentle, whose yoke is easy and whose burden is light. So let go of everything that asks you to rush. Let go of every thought that tries to pull you away from the present moment. You are safe. You are held. You are here, resting in the nearness of Christ. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Take a slow, deep breath, the kind that fills your chest with quiet hope and releases the heaviness you no longer need to carry. Let the peace of God settle around you like soft evening air. And now, with your heart calm and your mind beginning to drift like a leaf carried by a gentle stream, we begin our pilgrimage into the teachings of Jesus. Fact 1. Before any teaching was spoken aloud, Jesus offered a lesson through his presence, a quiet invitation to draw near without fear. From the simplicity of his birth in Bethlehem to the gentle steps he took along Galilee's winding roads, he revealed a truth without a single word. God chooses humility. The King of all creation arrived not wrapped in gold, but in swaddling cloths, not in palaces, but in a stable scented with straw and starlight. This first teaching whispers softly through the centuries that greatness in God's kingdom is never loud or demanding. It is found in stillness, in surrender, in the quiet choosing of love over power. As you rest tonight, let this truth settle over you like a warm blanket. Your worth is not measured by noise or achievement, but by the gentle gaze of the one who came near. Breathe and let humility feel like home. Fact 2. One day, Jesus climbed a hillside overlooking the Sea of Galilee, where the breeze moved lightly across the grass like a soft blessing. There he spoke the Beatitudes, a series of gentle truths wrapped in mercy. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. With each sentence, he turned the world's values upside down and revealed the hidden beauty of the lowly, the tender, the overlooked. His words were not thunder. They were a healing rain. They landed softly on wounded hearts and weary souls, teaching that God draws especially close to those who feel empty, fragile, or forgotten. If your spirit feels tired tonight, remember this hillside teaching. You are not far from God's blessing. You are in the very place He calls blessed. Let your breath deepen and feel mercy resting gently within you. Fact 3. When Jesus called His first disciples, He did not choose scholars or princes. He chose fishermen, men with calloused hands, weathered faces, and hearts open enough to hear a simple invitation. Follow me. This teaching flows quietly beneath the story. God delights in choosing ordinary people for extraordinary journeys. You do not need to be perfect, polished, or prepared. You simply need a willing heart and the courage to take one small step toward Him. As the disciples laid down their nets, the world changed forever, not through force, but through faithful surrender. Tonight, let yourself lay down whatever weighs you down. Release your nets. Allow your heart to drift into trust, soft as moonlit water. Fact 4. Before crowds gathered around Him, Jesus often slipped away to quiet places. Hillsides washed in dawn light, olive groves whispering in the early breeze, lonely stretches of wilderness where the world finally fell silent. There, in stillness deeper than words, He prayed. This gentle rhythm of retreat was one of His first teachings, that the soul needs quiet the way the body needs breath. He showed us that communion with the Father is found not through striving, but through surrender, through moments when we step back from all the noise and simply dwell. As you rest tonight, imagine Jesus praying alone under a sky filled with the first stars. Let that image soothe you. Let it remind you that it's okay to seek solitude, to breathe deeply, and to let God's presence rise softly within you like a calm tide. Fact 5. When Jesus opened the scroll in the synagogue of Nazareth, He read words from Isaiah, ancient words, yet alive with fresh promise. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted. In that moment, He revealed one of His tenderest teachings. God notices the fractures inside you that no one else sees. He comes close not only to save, but to mend. The brokenhearted are not forgotten. They are held with special care. Picture His voice, steady and warm, echoing through the quiet room. He wasn't making a distant announcement. He was speaking directly to all who carry unseen wounds. If your heart feels cracked or fragile tonight, let this teaching settle like balm. The healer has come. He meets you with compassion, not judgment. Let that truth rest lightly on your spirit as you breathe in peace. Fact 6. On the shores of Galilee, Jesus spoke of the kingdom of God using simple, everyday images. Seeds falling into good soil, lamps glowing softly in homes, yeast hidden in dough. Through these gentle pictures, He taught that God's kingdom grows not by force, but by quiet faithfulness. Small acts, small prayers, small moments of love, tiny seeds that, with time, become sheltering trees. This teaching invites you to release the pressure to do grand things. Instead, rest in the beauty of small beginnings. As you drift tonight, imagine a single seed buried in warm earth, unseen but alive, slowly becoming something strong and good. So it is with the work God is shaping in you. soft, slow, steady, and full of promise. Fact 7. One evening, as the sun dipped low and shadows stretched across the land, Jesus spoke words that have soothed troubled hearts for centuries. Do not worry about tomorrow. He pointed to the birds gliding effortlessly through the sky and the lilies opening their delicate petals to the morning light. Creation does not strain or fret, yet the Father sustains it with gentle hands. This teaching invites us into a deeper exhale, a releasing of anxiety shaped by days not yet lived. Tonight, as you lie in the quiet hum of darkness, imagine yourself among those lilies, swaying softly in a breeze that asks nothing of you. God knows your needs. He holds tomorrow. Let tonight be enough. Fact 8. When a storm rose suddenly on the Sea of Galilee, the disciples trembled as waves lifted their small boat like a leaf caught in a fierce wind. But Jesus slept, not out of indifference, but because he carried a peace deeper than the storm. When they woke him in fear, he spoke only a few words. Peace, be still. And the wind obeyed. This teaching is not merely about power. It is about presence. Even when waves rise around you, even when your thoughts churn restlessly, Jesus remains unshaken. He is the calm at the center. As you rest tonight, feel those words echo gently in your heart. Peace. Be still. Let every fear loosen. Let every restless thought settle like quiet water returning to glassy stillness. Fact 9. In a crowded home in Capernaum, friends lowered a man through the roof so he could reach Jesus. Before healing his body, Jesus spoke to his heart. Your sins are forgiven. This moment revealed a teaching wrapped in deep tenderness. That spiritual healing is just as precious to God as physical restoration. Jesus sees not only the surface of our lives, but the hidden places where guilt, shame, or regret weigh us down. And his response is never harshness. It is forgiveness, spoken with a voice full of compassion. As you breathe slowly tonight, imagine those words spoken over you. Gentle, reassuring, freeing. Nothing separates you from his mercy. Let that truth sink softly into your thoughts, like light settling over quiet waters. Fact 10. As Jesus walked through the villages of Galilee, a woman who had suffered for 12 long years reached out through the crowd, her hand trembling as it brushed the edge of his garment. She hoped for healing, but what she received was even deeper. His attention, his acknowledgement, his gentle affirmation, "Daughter, your faith has made you well." This teaching glows softly in the quiet spaces of the soul. Jesus notices the hidden courage it takes to reach out in our weakness. Not a single trembling hope escapes his gaze. Tonight, let yourself imagine that simple touch, light as a whisper, full of longing, and feel his compassion flowing toward you with the same tenderness. You are seen. You are cherished. Rest in that truth. Fact 11. Under the shade of ancient olive trees, Jesus once told the parable of the lost sheep, a story of a shepherd who leaves 99 safely in the fold to seek the one who has wandered. This teaching unveils the nature of his heart, persistent, patient, and deeply personal. He does not scold the lost one for straying. Instead, he searches until he finds, and when he does, he lifts the weary creature onto his shoulders, carrying it home with joy. As your breath slows tonight, imagine yourself as that sheep, tired, unsure, but gently gathered into strong, caring arms. You never have to earn his rescue. You never have to fear his disappointment. His love seeks you, finds you, and brings you home. Fact 12. One afternoon, surrounded by ordinary people longing for hope, Jesus spoke of the Father's character using the image of a generous host. Ask, and it will be given to you. Knock, and the door will be opened. This teaching isn't about demanding, it's about trusting. It is the quiet assurance that God's heart is open, warm, and welcoming. A door that does not slam shut in anger, but swings wide with grace. When Jesus spoke these words, he invited listeners into a relationship shaped not by fear, but by familiarity. Tonight, as you rest in the stillness, imagine that open door, golden lamplight spilling out, the atmosphere warm, the welcome unconditional. You are free to knock. You are free to come inside, and you are always received with love. Fact 13. While sitting among a crowd near the shimmering waters of Galilee, Jesus taught that the pure in heart would see God. Not the powerful, not the clever, but the pure. Those whose intentions are simple, whose desires are sincere, whose hearts are open like morning blossoms unfolding in the first quiet light. This teaching reveals that the clearest vision of God is found not through striving, but through stillness, honesty, and gentle trust. A pure heart is one that has let go of bitterness, released old burdens, and chosen the soft path of peace. As you breathe slowly tonight, imagine your heart becoming clear as a calm lake at dawn, its waters smooth, its depths untroubled. In that quiet clarity, the presence of God reflects softly. Rest in the simplicity of being fully known and fully loved. Fact 14. In the midst of his ministry, Jesus spoke of salt and light, quiet symbols of influence, subtle yet powerful. Salt preserves, enhances, and brings out hidden goodness. Light reveals, warms, and guides. With these images, Jesus taught that our lives need not be loud or grand to have meaning. A gentle word, a quiet kindness, a patient act of mercy. These are small lights that soften the darkness around us. As you settle into rest, imagine yourself as a single candle glowing in a dark room. Its flame doesn't strain or rush. It simply shines, steady and warm. That is all Jesus asks, to glow gently, to preserve goodness with quiet fidelity, to let your presence be a soft blessing to those around you. Breathe, and let that truth feel light and unburdening. Fact 15. When Jesus encountered the Samaritan woman at the well, he spoke to her with dignity and compassion, breaking barriers of culture, history, and pain. In the heat of the day, under the vast expanse of sky, he offered living water, a teaching that true satisfaction comes not from earthly wells, but from the Spirit who refreshes the soul. This water is not rushed. It flows quietly, steadily, like a spring hidden beneath desert sand. Tonight, imagine that cool, clear stream moving gently through the dry corners of your heart. Let it soften old wounds, soothe weary thoughts, and refresh the spaces within you that feel parched or forgotten. Jesus meets you where you are, offering what no earthly source can give. Drink deeply of that peace. Fact 16. One gentle evening, as people gathered with questions and quiet hopes, Jesus shared the parable of the mustard seed, the smallest of seeds, nearly invisible in the hand, yet destined to grow into a sheltering tree. With this simple image, he taught that faith does not need to be large to be alive. It can be small, trembling, almost hidden, and still it holds the potential to rise, to strengthen, to offer refuge. Jesus honored the smallest beginnings, the tiniest whispers of belief. Tonight, let this teaching soothe you. Even the faintest spark of faith within you is seen, cherished, and nurtured by God. Imagine that tiny seed resting in warm soil, drawing quiet strength, growing slowly, gently, faithfully. Let your heart rest in the beauty of beginnings that need no perfection, only trust. Fact 17. On another day, Jesus spoke of treasure hidden in a field and a pearl of great price, stories that reveal the incomparable worth of God's kingdom. He taught that when we truly glimpse the goodness of God, everything else fades softly into the background. The kingdom is not a burden, but a joy, discovered like a secret glimmer beneath the surface of ordinary life. This teaching invites us to notice divine beauty in small, simple things, in laughter shared, in kindness offered, in peace that settles unexpectedly, like dew at dawn. As you breathe calmly tonight, imagine discovering a pearl glowing softly in your hands, luminous, smooth, timeless. That is what God's presence is like, a treasure that cannot be stolen, a joy that gently fills the inner places, a quiet richness of spirit that grows with every moment of trust. Let that treasure rest in you as you drift. Fact 18. When Jesus saw the crowds following him, weary from long journeys and long seasons of longing, his heart was moved with compassion. He spoke of himself as the Good Shepherd, the one who knows each sheep by name, who leads them beside gentle paths, who lays down his life to keep them safe. This teaching reveals the profound tenderness of his guidance. He does not drive with force. He leads with gentleness. He does not abandon. He gathers. Tonight, imagine walking with him through a quiet pasture under a sky rich with stars. The air is soft, the grass cool beneath your feet, and his presence steady beside you. Let his shepherd's care wrap around your thoughts, easing tension, soothing worry, inviting you into rest as natural as nightfall. Fact 19. When Jesus welcomed children into his arms, his disciples were surprised. Children were small, unnoticed by society, without status or influence. But Jesus drew them near, blessing them with gentle hands and warm eyes, teaching that the kingdom of heaven belongs to hearts like theirs, open, trusting, unguarded. This teaching whispers softly through time. God does not measure strength the way the world does. He delights in simplicity, sincerity, and wonder. As you rest tonight, imagine yourself as a child approaching Jesus. No fear, no hesitation, only a natural belonging. Feel the warmth of his presence, the tenderness in his welcome. Let your spirit relax into that childlike openness, free from burdens too heavy for the night. Simply rest, held, accepted, loved, without condition. Fact 20. Sitting among his disciples, Jesus once said, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." With those gentle words, he taught a truth that reaches quietly into the soul. Our hearts drift, naturally, toward what we value most. He wasn't warning in fear. He was guiding in love, inviting his followers to anchor their hearts in things eternal, steady, and true. Tonight, as your breath slows and your thoughts soften, imagine laying down the treasures that tire you, the worries, the pressures, the expectations, like stones set gently beside a quiet stream. And imagine lifting instead the treasures of heaven, peace, kindness, mercy, presence. These are light to carry, warm to hold, and everlasting. Let your heart be drawn toward what brings rest, not strain. Let the gentle pull of eternity guide you into deeper peace. Fact 21. When a lawyer asked Jesus about the greatest commandment, his answer flowed with simple clarity. Love the Lord your God and love your neighbor as yourself. With these two teachings, he gathered the entire law into the soft embrace of love. Not rules, not rituals, love. Love that begins with God, flows into the soul, and then extends outward like a quiet river, nourishing every shore it touches. As you breathe tonight, imagine that river of love flowing through you, slow, steady, peaceful. Let it wash away harshness, soften old hurts, and fill the empty corners of your heart. In this teaching, Jesus reminds you that you were made for love, to receive it, to rest in it, and gently, in your own time, to share it. Let that truth cradle you as you drift towards sleep. Fact 22. When Jesus entered the home of Martha and Mary, Martha hurried about with anxious hands, preparing and serving, trying to honor him through her work. Mary, meanwhile, simply sat at his feet, listening, breathing, resting in his presence. When Martha voiced her frustration, Jesus spoke with gentle understanding. Mary has chosen the better part. This teaching isn't a rebuke. It's an invitation to slow down, to sit in stillness, to let presence matter more than performance. Tonight, imagine yourself at his feet as Mary was, the room quiet, the air warm, his voice soft and full of peace. Let your worries drift to the edges of the room and settle like dust. Let stillness become your offering. Let his nearness become your rest. Fact 23. As Jesus traveled from village to village, he often spoke in parables about servants waiting for their master to return, alert, expectant, full of quiet readiness. His teaching was simple, yet deeply comforting. Stay awake to God's presence in the ordinary moments of life, not with tension, but with gentle attentiveness. The kingdom does not arrive only in grand, shining displays. It appears quietly, like a lantern glowing at dusk, or a soft knock at the door. Tonight, feel that calm expectancy settle over your heart. Not urgency, not fear, just a peaceful openness to God's subtle movements in your life. Imagine a warm lamp glowing in a window, inviting you home. Let that light guide your thoughts toward rest as you settle into the gentle awareness that God is nearer than breath. Fact 24. One day, Jesus told the story of the Good Samaritan, a teaching that redefined compassion. Where others saw inconvenience or danger, the Samaritan saw a wounded man worthy of mercy. Jesus' teaching was clear and tender. Love crosses boundaries, pauses for pain, and sees humanity even in those the world overlooks. He invited his listeners not just to know mercy, but to embody it. Slowly, quietly, faithfully. As you breathe tonight, imagine walking a dusty road with Jesus beside you, teaching you to see others with soft eyes and an open heart. Let compassion rise gently within you, not as pressure, but as a warm current flowing through your spirit. May this teaching relax you, soften you, and make room for gentle love to settle in your soul. Fact 25. One quiet morning, Jesus spoke of a farmer scattering seeds across different kinds of soil, some hard, some shallow, some crowded with thorns, and some rich and ready. Through this gentle story, he revealed a teaching about the heart. God's word comes like soft rain, like seeds carried on a breeze, seeking a place to rest and grow. It does not force itself. It simply offers life. And the soil of the heart determines how deeply that life can root. Tonight, imagine your heart as soft, open soil under a calm sky. Let every worry, every hardened place, loosen like earth warmed by the sun. Let the seeds of his words settle quietly within you, not rushed, not pressured, simply resting, ready to grow in their own time, bringing peace as they unfold. Fact 26. While teaching near the temple, Jesus spoke of a widow who gave 2 small coins. Almost nothing in the eyes of the world, yet everything in the eyes of God. Her quiet offering, given with sincerity and trust, became a timeless teaching about the beauty of simple devotion. Jesus showed that God does not measure the size of the gift, but the depth of the heart behind it. As you breathe slowly tonight, imagine placing something small but meaningful into God's hands. A moment of gratitude, a whispered prayer, a fragment of hope. Nothing you offer is too small to matter. In His eyes, every act done with love shines like gold. Let that truth ease any pressure you carry. Rest in the knowledge that God cherishes the gentlest movements of your heart. Fact 27. When Jesus spoke of forgiveness, His words were soft yet deep, like water flowing through worn stone. He taught that forgiveness is not a single act, but a continual release, a loosening of the grip that bitterness tries to hold on the soul. His teaching was not burdensome, it was healing. Forgiveness frees the one who forgives, opening space for peace to breathe again. Tonight, imagine standing beside a quiet river under a moonlit sky. In your hands are the heavy stones of old hurts. One by one, feel yourself letting them fall into the gentle current, watching the ripples widen and then fade. Let the water carry them away. Feel your spirit grow lighter, softer, freer. Forgiveness, Jesus teaches, is a path toward rest. Fact 28. As Jesus walked near the temple courts one day, He spoke of Himself as the light of the world, a light that shines softly in darkness, guiding weary hearts home. He did not describe a harsh or glaring brightness, but a warm glow that comforts, reveals, and invites. Light that cannot be overcome. This teaching reminds us that no matter how deep the night feels, His presence remains a gentle flame within reach. Tonight, imagine that light surrounding you, not blinding, but tender, like a candle glowing in a quiet room, or moonlight resting on still water. Let its warmth ease the shadows of your thoughts. Let it remind you that darkness is never the end of the story. His light accompanies you even now as you settle into rest. Fact 29. Jesus once described Himself as the bread of life, offering nourishment far deeper than physical hunger could explain. He spoke of a sustenance that reaches the soul, steady, enduring, quietly filling the empty places within us. This teaching reveals that faith is not merely belief, but nourishment, something that strengthens us from the inside out. Tonight, imagine sitting at a simple wooden table bathed in soft lamplight, where Jesus offers you the comfort of spiritual nourishment, peace for your mind, rest for your heart, strength for your spirit. No striving, no pressure, only receiving. Feel that quiet fullness settling within you, like warmth spreading through your chest. You are fed by grace, sustained by love, and held by a presence that satisfies your deepest hunger. Fact 30. By the waters of Galilee, Jesus spoke the serene words, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This teaching flows like a gentle river into the lives of all who feel tired, overwhelmed, or worn thin by the demands of life. He offered not just rest for the body, but rest for the soul. A deep settling, a softening of inner tension, a safe place to exhale. As you breathe tonight, imagine walking toward Him across a quiet shoreline at dusk, the waves whispering at your feet, the sky painted in tender shades of twilight. Feel His invitation wrapping around you like a warm cloak. You do not need to carry everything. You are allowed to rest. Let His promise cradle your spirit as you drift deeper into peace. Fact 31. When Jesus taught His disciples to pray, He He didn't give them complicated rituals or lofty speeches. Instead, he offered a simple, tender pattern, the Lord's Prayer, beginning with the gentle words, "Our Father." With this opening, he revealed a teaching that reshapes the heart. God is not distant or indifferent, but close, caring, intimate like a loving parent who listens with patience. The prayer moves like a quiet river, honoring God, seeking daily provision, releasing forgiveness, asking for guidance. Tonight, let this prayer settle over your spirit like a soft blanket. Imagine each phrase as a slow breath, steady, calming, familiar. You are speaking to a Father who knows your needs before you whisper them, who watches over you with unwavering love. Let your heart rest in that closeness. Fact 32. One evening, Jesus spoke with Nicodemus under the cover of night, where lantern light flickered gently against stone walls. In that quiet conversation, he taught about being born of the Spirit, a rebirth not of flesh, but of inner renewal, like wind moving unseen through treetops. Jesus explained that spiritual life begins not with effort, but with surrender, allowing God's Spirit to breathe newness into places that feel tired or worn. Tonight, imagine a soft wind flowing through your spirit, fresh and cool, cleansing the dusty corners of your thoughts. Like Nicodemus, you do not need to understand everything at once. You simply need to let the Spirit move, gentle as night air drifting through an open window. Feel its refreshing presence, lifting your heart toward quiet renewal. Let your soul breathe softly, freely, deeply. Fact 33. As Jesus traveled through Judea, he told a parable of a farmer who discovered weeds growing among his wheat. Rather than pulling them up in haste, risking harm to the good crop, the farmer chose patience, allowing both to grow together until harvest. This teaching reveals God's quiet wisdom, that growth takes time, and not everything in our lives must be fixed immediately. God tends to our souls with patient hands, allowing us space to mature, to heal, to slowly become who He created us to be. Tonight, let that patience wash over you. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are growing, gently, gradually, beautifully. Imagine the fields at dusk, wheat swaying in a peaceful breeze, the farmer watching with calm confidence. Let that image loosen every anxious expectation within you. Peace grows slowly, and that is enough. Fact 34. Walking through the villages of Judea, Jesus spoke a parable about a king who forgave an enormous debt, a sum too large to repay in a lifetime. The forgiven servant, however, refused to show the same mercy to someone who owed him very little. Through this tender yet revealing story, Jesus taught that forgiveness is meant to flow, received freely, given freely, like a gentle stream that softens the soil it touches. Tonight, imagine the weight of your own forgiven debts slipping from your shoulders, lightening your spirit. Feel mercy flowing into you, soft as rain, washing old burdens from your heart. And as you rest, allow that mercy to ripple outward, not as obligation, but as quiet freedom. In forgiveness, Jesus shows us a path where peace grows like a blooming meadow. Fact 35. One day, Jesus told the story of a banquet prepared with care and joy. Invitations were sent out, yet many ignored them, distracted by the noise and demands of daily life. So the Master invited the humble, the overlooked, the ones waiting on the edges of society. With this warm, generous teaching, Jesus revealed the nature of God's invitation, wide, welcoming, and full of grace. Tonight, imagine stepping into a great hall filled with soft lantern light, a table prepared just for you, abundant, peaceful, radiant with divine hospitality. You are not an afterthought. You are not overlooked. You are a cherished guest at God's table. Let that truth settle over you gently, easing the ache of any loneliness or exclusion you felt. The invitation is yours, offered freely, lovingly, eternally. Fact 36. Jesus once spoke of a shepherd who knew the sound of each of his sheep, their footsteps, their needs, their fears. They hear my voice, he said, and they follow me. With this tender teaching, Jesus revealed the intimate connection between himself and those who trust him. His voice is not harsh or hurried. It is familiar, soothing, steady, like a calm melody drifting through quiet air. Tonight, imagine hearing that voice in your heart. Not loud, not demanding, but warm and reassuring, guiding you gently along a peaceful path. Let every other voice fade into the background. Let his words be like soft light guiding your steps. You are known. You are led. You are safe in his care, moving gently toward rest under his watchful love. Fact 37. One afternoon, as the disciples watched the offering box in the temple, Jesus noticed something they overlooked. Wealthy donors gave large sums that glittered in the eyes of others. But then came a widow, placing in 2 tiny coins, nearly silent as they fell from her hand. Jesus saw deep devotion in that quiet act. He taught that God treasures the offerings given from a place of love, not abundance. Tonight, imagine those coins, small, simple, shining softly in the palm of her hand. Feel the peace of knowing that your smallest acts of love, your quiet prayers, your tender efforts are precious to him. You don't have to be grand or impressive to bring joy to God. Your sincerity is a fragrance that rises gently toward heaven. Let that truth ease you into rest. Fact 38. In the cool of early morning, Jesus stood on a hillside and taught about the eye being the lamp of the body. He explained that when our eyes, our inner focus, are clear and full of light, the whole body is illuminated. But when our sight becomes clouded by fear, envy, or distraction, shadows fall within. This teaching invites us to return our gaze to what is good, gentle, and true. Tonight, imagine your inner vision turning toward light. Soft, warm, golden like dawn, breaking through quiet clouds. Let that light fill the spaces of your mind, washing away any darkness that clings. As you breathe, slowly, feel clarity rising like morning mist, giving way to sunlight. Your spirit does not need to strain to see. Light comes softly, revealing peace, guiding you into quiet joy. Fact 39. One day, as Jesus walked with his disciples, they came upon a man blind from birth. The disciples wondered whose fault it was, who had sinned to cause such suffering. But Jesus gently corrected them. This happened so the works of God might be displayed in him, he said. Through this teaching, he invited the world to stop seeing pain as punishment and instead recognize it as a place where God's presence can shine tenderly. Tonight, imagine Jesus kneeling beside every place in your life that feels broken or unanswered. He doesn't blame or condemn. He brings light, healing, and hope. Let his compassion touch those hidden places within you. Feel his nearness, his understanding, his gentle intention to bring beauty even from your deepest wounds. Rest in the assurance that nothing in your life is beyond his tender restoration. Fact 40. When Jesus stood before the crowds in Jerusalem and cried out, "Whoever believes in me, rivers of living water will flow from within them," he spoke a teaching wrapped in refreshing hope. He promised not merely a sip of relief, but an inner river, steady, renewing, unending. This living water is the Holy Spirit, flowing through hearts that trust Him, softening what has hardened and refreshing what has grown weary. Tonight, imagine that river moving quietly within you, like a stream gliding through a peaceful valley. Cool, gentle, life-giving. Let it wash over your worries, smoothing the rough edges of your thoughts. Feel your spirit hydrated by grace, filled from a source that never runs dry. Allow that living water to ripple softly through your soul until peace settles deep within. Fact 41. As he journeyed toward Jerusalem, Jesus told a story of 10 bridesmaids waiting for the bridegroom. Some carried oil in their lamps, steady, ready, glowing softly through the night. Others grew careless and missed the moment of joy. Through this gentle parable, Jesus taught about the beauty of spiritual readiness, not anxious vigilance, but quiet, steady faithfulness, like a lamp glowing in a window at dusk, ready to welcome someone home. Tonight, imagine your heart as a small lamp filled with the oil of trust, hope, and peace. Its flame flickers softly, neither hurried nor afraid, simply shining with gentle expectancy. Let that calm readiness settle in you. The one you wait for is faithful. The night is not something to fear. Your lamp glows, steady and warm, guiding your thoughts into rest. Fact 42. One morning, Jesus pointed to a tiny sparrow and reminded his listeners that not one falls to the ground without the Father knowing. He spoke of the hairs on their heads being numbered, of their worth being immeasurable. This teaching offers profound comfort. God's care is not distant or general. It is personal, attentive, intimate. He notices the smallest details, the quietest tears, the unseen struggles. Tonight, imagine a small sparrow resting in the palm of God's hand, featherlight, safe, watched over with tenderness. And then imagine yourself held with the same gentle care, every part of your story seen, every breath cherished. Feel the weight of anxiety lifting as you rest in the certainty of His loving attention. You are not forgotten. You are deeply, quietly known. Fact 43. When Jesus taught about the narrow gate, He did not speak with harshness, but with quiet clarity. He reminded His listeners that the path to life is not crowded or noisy, but gentle, humble, and often overlooked. The wide road, full of distractions, pressures, and hurried steps, seems easier, yet it leads away from peace. The narrow path, simple and sincere, opens into rest for the soul. Tonight, imagine walking a soft forest trail at twilight, leaves whispering beneath your feet, the air warm and still. No crowds, no rushing, only the sound of your breathing and the quiet sense that God walks beside you. Let the simplicity of that path soothe your thoughts. You do not need to chase the world's noise. You can follow the small, peaceful way that leads into life. Fact 44. One day, Jesus told a parable of workers hired at different hours of the day, some early, some late, yet all receiving the same generous reward. Through this story, He revealed a teaching about divine grace. God's goodness is not measured by human standards of fairness. His generosity flows from a heart overflowing with compassion, not calculation. Tonight, imagine standing in a golden field as evening approaches, the master of the vineyard walking among the workers with joy, not judgment. See His kindness extending to each person equally, warmly, freely. Let that image release the pressures of comparison within you. You are not behind. You have not missed your moment. God's grace reaches you exactly where you are, offering rest and welcome in abundance. Let that generous love settle softly over your spirit. Fact 45. As Jesus observed the people around him, he once spoke of a tree being known by its fruit. He taught that a life rooted in love, humility, and trust naturally produces goodness, like branches heavy with ripe fruit glowing in the afternoon sun. He wasn't demanding perfection, he was inviting authenticity. When the heart is healthy and nourished by God's presence, gentle fruit grows without strain. Tonight, imagine a quiet orchard at dusk, the fruit trees glowing softly as fireflies drift between them. This is your soul when it rests in God, slowly bearing kindness, peace, and patience. Feel the pressure to perform dissolve. Everything good in you can grow gently, in its own time, in the steady light of God's love. Let your spirit breathe, rooted and restful, like a tree planted by peaceful waters. Fact 46. As Jesus walked with his disciples through the quiet fields of Galilee, he spoke of the harvest being plentiful and the workers few. This teaching was not meant to burden, but to awaken compassion. He invited his followers to see the world through tender eyes that notice those who are weary, searching, longing for hope. The harvest, he explained, is the human heart, ready for comfort, ready for truth, ready for love. Tonight, imagine a golden field swaying softly under a warm breeze, sunlight lingering like a blessing across its surface. Feel the peace of knowing that God's work is gentle, patient, and full of mercy. You don't have to change the world. You simply offer love where you are. Let that quiet calling cradle your thoughts into rest. Fact 47. One day, Jesus told the parable of a man building his house, one on rock, another on sand. The storms came, winds roared, waves struck, yet the house built on rock stood firm. Through this calm, clear teaching, Jesus showed that a life grounded in his words finds stability even in uncertain seasons, not through force, but through foundation. Tonight, imagine a small cottage perched upon a rocky shore, waves brushing gently against its base. Inside, a warm light glows, steady and inviting. This is your soul when it rests upon his teachings, secure, unshaken, protected. As you breathe softly, let every anxious thought sink into that firm foundation. Let the security of his truth anchor you, calming the inner storms, steadying your spirit with peace as enduring as stone. Fact 48. Jesus once spoke of a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he discovered one of incomparable value, he joyfully sold everything to obtain it. This teaching unveils the quiet joy of discovering the beauty of God's kingdom, so precious, so radiant, that it eclipses every lesser desire. It isn't about loss. It's about finding what truly satisfies the soul. Tonight, imagine holding a luminous pearl, smooth, glowing, warm in the palm of your hand. Feel the quiet wonder it brings, the sense of having found something pure and eternal. Let that image mirror the treasure of God's presence within you. You are not empty. You are rich with the peace and purpose he gives. Allow that gentle realization to wash through you like moonlight over calm waters, inviting you deeper into rest. Fact 49. As Jesus traveled through cities and quiet villages, he spoke tenderly about the Father's joy when even one wandering soul returns home. He described a shepherd who rejoices over a lost sheep, a woman who celebrates a found coin, and a father who runs to embrace his wayward child. These stories reveal a teaching bathed in mercy. God delights in restoration, not reluctantly, not cautiously, but joyfully, with open arms. Tonight, imagine that moment of return, the warm embrace, the soft robe placed around your shoulders, the gentle whisper, "You are home." Feel the relief of being welcomed without hesitation. Let the warmth of that divine celebration settle over you, releasing every fear of rejection. You are never too far. You are always pursued by love that longs to hold you close. Fact 50. On the hillside overlooking the Sea of Galilee, Jesus taught that those who hunger and thirst for righteousness will be filled. This is not the hunger of anxiety or striving, but the deep longing for goodness, for closeness with God, for a life aligned with peace. He promised that those who yearningly seek the good will find satisfaction, not in the world's applause, but in the quiet filling of the soul. Tonight, imagine that hunger as a soft ache within you, gentle and pure. Then imagine it being filled like a cup overflowing with cool, refreshing water. Feel that inner thirst easing, that longing settling into contentment. You do not chase righteousness alone. Jesus fills you with what you need, shaping your heart with gentle hands. Rest in that fullness, like a field after rain, quietly satisfied. Fact 51. Midscript. Reflection. We are halfway through this gentle pilgrimage, walking softly beside the teachings of Jesus beneath a sky filled with ancient starlight. Let your breath deepen now, slow and unhurried. Feel the ground beneath you growing steady, the air around you warm with quiet peace. The stories we've touched have carried you through hillsides, parables, whispers of mercy, and rivers of living water. Let them settle in you like seeds drifting into fertile earth, needing no effort from you, only rest. Take a moment to imagine yourself reclining on soft grass, the night calm, the world hushed, and Jesus sitting nearby in silence, simply sharing the moment with you. This journey is not about learning quickly. It is about resting deeply. When you're ready, we will continue our walk into the remaining teachings, each one a lantern glowing softly in the night. Fact 52. As Jesus sat beside the sea, the waves brushing lightly against the shore, he taught about the sower who scattered seed onto good soil. Those who hear the word, receive it with open hearts, and let it bear fruit in patience. This teaching reminds us that growth in God is gentle, never rushed. Even the richest soil needs time. Sunrise after sunrise, quiet rain after quiet rain. Tonight, imagine your heart as a peaceful garden at dusk, the soil warm, the seeds alive beneath the surface. You do not need to see the growth for it to be happening. Let that truth settle in your spirit like evening dew. God works quietly within you, at a pace shaped by love. Rest in the slow, sacred unfolding of His grace. Fact 53. One day, Jesus spoke of a lamp placed on a stand, not hidden under a basket, but raised where its gentle glow could warm the room. He taught that the light God places within each person is meant to shine softly into the world, not through pressure, not through grand performance, but through simple presence. Your kindness, your gentleness, your quiet faith. They are small flames that bring warmth to those around you. Tonight, imagine yourself in a dimly lit room where a single lantern glows, filling the space with soft golden light. Feel that warmth as a reflection of your own God-given glow. You don't have to shine brightly. You only need to shine truly. Let that steady, humble light guide your thoughts into peaceful rest, knowing that God delights in the radiance He placed in you. Fact 54. When Jesus spoke of the vine and the branches, He revealed a teaching filled with rest. Abide in me. Not strive, perform, or prove, just abide. Stay connected, remain near. Like a branch resting in the vine, drawing nourishment naturally, you are invited to let your life flow from His presence. Fruitfulness is not forced. It is the quiet result of nearness. Tonight, imagine yourself as a branch, resting safely on a strong vine, leaves rustling softly in a gentle breeze. Feel life flowing into you, not from your effort, but from His love. Let every part of your being relax into that connection, steady, sustaining, unbroken. You do not need to produce anything in this moment. You only need to abide. Let that nearness cradle you as you drift deeper into calm. Fact 55. One evening, Jesus told the story of a persistent widow who kept returning to a judge, seeking justice with steady resolve. Though the judge cared little for fairness, her gentle persistence eventually moved him to act. Through this parable, Jesus taught the quiet power of continual prayer, soft, steady, unwavering like the tide. He assured his listeners that God, unlike the judge, hears with compassion and responds with love. Tonight, imagine your prayers rising like incense through the still evening air, subtle, fragrant, never unnoticed. Even the smallest whisper of your heart reaches Him. Let that assurance ease the weight of unanswered questions. Your persistent hopes are held by a faithful God who listens with tenderness and moves with perfect timing. Rest in the truth that every prayer breathed tonight is carried gently to His heart. Fact 56. As Jesus journeyed toward Jerusalem, He met 10 lepers who cried out for mercy. He healed them, sending them on their way. Yet only one returned, falling at His feet in gratitude, his voice trembling with joy. This moment became a gentle teaching about thanksgiving. Gratitude restores more than the body. It heals the soul. It opens the heart, brightens the spirit, deepens connection with God. Tonight, imagine yourself returning to Jesus with one quiet thank you. Simple, sincere, unhurried. Feel gratitude warming your chest like soft sunlight. Let it flow through you, loosening tension, filling your thoughts with gentle brightness. Gratitude is a lullaby of the heart, and as you rest, it will continue singing softly within you, reminding you of every good gift that has carried you to this peaceful moment. Fact 57. One day, Jesus spoke of 2 men who went to the temple to pray, one proud of his righteousness, the other standing far off, humbly asking for mercy. Jesus explained that it was the humble man who went home justified, for God draws close to the lowly and lifts those who bow their hearts. This teaching invites you into the restful depths of humility, a place without pressure, without performance, without masks. Tonight, imagine yourself in a quiet sanctuary, candlelight flickering gently around you. You speak simply, honestly, knowing you are heard. There is no need to impress God, only to be yourself, tender and true. Feel the peace that comes from humility, a soft surrender that lets grace flow freely. In this moment, rest in the gentle truth that God meets you exactly where your heart is open. Fact 58. As Jesus taught on a quiet hillside, He spoke of a kingdom where the last would be first and the first would be last. With gentle clarity, He revealed a truth that softens pride and lifts the weary. God sees differently than the world does. He honors the overlooked, cherishes the humble, and brings dignity to those who feel forgotten. This teaching is not a reversal of fortune meant to shame the powerful, but a reminder that God's heart leans toward the lowly with tender grace. Tonight, imagine standing at the back of a long line, feeling small and unseen, only for Jesus to walk toward you with a warm smile, taking your hand and guiding you gently to a place of honor. Let that image ease feelings of insignificance. In His kingdom, you matter deeply. Fact 59. One afternoon, Jesus told the story of a fig tree that bore no fruit. The owner wished to cut it down, but the gardener intervened with compassion. "Leave it for one more year. I will dig around it and fertilize it." Through this parable, Jesus revealed God's patient commitment to our growth. He does not discard us in our unfruitful seasons. He nurtures, tends, and gently encourages us to flourish. Tonight, imagine yourself as that tree, roots resting in warm soil, branches stretching quietly into the evening sky. Feel the gentle care of the gardener tending to your life with love. Every slow step forward, every small change, every tender longing to grow is noticed. You are given time. You are offered grace. Let that patient love relax every expectation you've placed on yourself. Fact 60. When Jesus spoke of loving one's enemies, his words were not stern commands, but gentle invitations into freedom. He taught that love is the path that loosens bitterness, softens resentment, and breaks the cycle of hurt. Loving enemies is not about approving harm. It is about releasing the soul from chains. Jesus offered this teaching as a doorway into deep inner peace, a peace untouched by the actions of others. Tonight, imagine your heart as a quiet lake at dawn, the surface smooth and undisturbed. Every hurtful memory drops into that lake like a pebble, ripples expanding, then fading into stillness. Feel the soft space that forgiveness creates. Not forced, not rushed, simply possible. Let that gentle release open your spirit to rest, knowing that love brings the deepest healing. Fact 61. As Jesus walked through the marketplaces and village roads, he spoke of storing up treasures in heaven rather than on earth. He wasn't warning with fear. He was inviting with tenderness. Earthly treasures fade, decay, or drift away, but heavenly treasures, acts of love, moments of mercy, gentle kindness, are eternal. This teaching frees the heart from grasping, loosens the tightness of striving, and lifts our gaze toward what truly matters. Tonight, imagine holding a handful of sand. Feel how easily it slips away. Then imagine cupping your hands to receive light. Soft, warm, weightless, eternal. Let that light represent every good thing God grows in your soul. Feel its gentle glow resting within you as you breathe. Your life holds eternal value, and nothing done in love is ever lost. Fact 62. One day, Jesus told the parable of the talents, a story of a master who entrusted his servants with gifts while he journeyed far away. Some invested their gifts, allowing them to grow. One, out of fear, hid his away. Through this teaching, Jesus encouraged the quiet courage of using what God has placed within us, not in pressure, but in trust. Your gifts, however small they may seem, are precious to Him. They are meant to be lived, shared, expressed with gentle boldness. Tonight, imagine your heart as a small chest filled with radiant treasures, unique, shining, entrusted by God Himself. Feel the warmth of purpose spreading through you, not as urgency, but as soft assurance. You have something beautiful to offer the world. Let that truth settle deeply, bringing comfort and quiet confidence as you rest. Fact 63. As Jesus sat among His disciples, He taught that the greatest among them would be the servant. These words were not meant to diminish, but to elevate the beauty of humility. He revealed that true greatness is found in gentle acts, the quiet help, the unseen kindness, the compassion offered without expectation. In God's kingdom, service is not lowly, it is luminous. Tonight, imagine yourself lighting a small candle for someone in need. The flame is simple, almost fragile, yet it glows with warm significance. That is what your acts of love look like in God's eyes. Soft, but powerful, humble, but radiant. Let the beauty of servanthood soothe your spirit. In serving, you reflect the heart of Jesus himself, who knelt to wash dusty feet with hands full of grace. Fact 64. As Jesus walked along the dusty road to Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do you say that I am?" This moment was not a test, but an invitation, an opening of the heart, a gentle beckoning toward deeper revelation. Peter answered, "You are the Christ." And in that confession, Jesus revealed a tender teaching. Faith grows through encounter, not through perfect knowledge, not through flawless understanding, but through meeting Jesus personally, softly, honestly. Tonight, imagine Jesus asking you the same question, not with pressure, but with warm curiosity, as one who already loves you fully. Let your answer rise from a quiet place within, unforced and sincere. Feel the peace of being known by the one who invites you closer, guiding your spirit into restful trust. Fact 65. When Jesus took Peter, James, and John up a mountain, his face shone like the sun, and his clothes glowed with heaven's light. This moment, called the Transfiguration, revealed the radiant heart of his identity. But even in this brilliance, his voice remained gentle, urging his disciples to listen with calm attention. Through this teaching, Jesus showed that divine glory does not overwhelm. It illuminates. It softens fears, clarifies truth, and wraps the soul in awe that is peaceful, not frightening. Tonight, imagine standing on that quiet mountain, cool air brushing your face, a soft glow surrounding everything. You feel small, but safe, wrapped in a light that warms rather than blinds. Let that sacred brightness drift into your thoughts, like starlight settling over a calm hillside. You are in the presence of a glory that brings rest, not burden. Fact 66. As Jesus continued his journey, he spoke of the kingdom belonging to those who become like little children, trusting, open-hearted, free of pretense. Children do not complicate love. They simply receive it. They do not fear tomorrow. They rest in the moment. Through this tender teaching, Jesus invited his followers into a purity of spirit that brings quiet joy. Tonight, imagine yourself as a child again, lighthearted, unburdened, sitting at Jesus' feet as he smiles gently at you. Your worries fade like distant echoes. Your breath deepens. Your heart softens. Feel the simplicity of trust washing over you, removing layers of tension, restoring a sense of innocence and peace. This is the posture of the kingdom. Small, humble, deeply loved. Let that childlike calm settle over you as you drift toward deeper rest. Fact 67. As Jesus drew near to the city of Jericho, a blind man named Bartimaeus called out to him with a trembling voice, "Son of David, have mercy on me." The crowd tried to hush him, but Jesus stopped. He stood still in the middle of the road and asked the gentlest of questions, "What do you want me to do for you?" With this simple moment, Jesus taught that God listens to our deepest desires, even when they are whispered through pain. He dignifies the cries others overlook. Tonight, imagine Jesus pausing beside you in the quiet, giving his full attention to the longing in your heart. No rush, no judgment, only compassion. Let his question settle softly in your spirit, inviting you to rest in his tender care. Fact is 68. One afternoon, Jesus spoke of a tiny bit of yeast placed into flour, a small, nearly invisible ingredient that slowly works through the entire dough. With this gentle picture, he taught that the kingdom of God often begins in small, hidden ways. A quiet decision, a whispered prayer, a humble act of kindness. These simple seeds of goodness slowly rise into something beautiful, nourishing, and whole. Tonight, imagine dough resting under a soft cloth, rising quietly in the warm stillness of a peaceful kitchen. No hurry, no strain, just a natural, steady unfolding. Let this image remind you that you do not need to force transformation in your life. God is working gently within you, allowing grace to expand slowly, filling every corner of your heart with light. Fact 69. When Jesus stood before the crowds during the Feast of Tabernacles, he declared, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness." He wasn't speaking of the world's shadows, but of the deeper darkness that sometimes settles in the human soul. Fear, confusion, loneliness. His teaching brings comfort like a lantern carried through a moonless night, guiding each step with warmth and certainty. Tonight, imagine walking along a quiet path, the night cool and still. In your hand, a soft glowing lantern, his presence, casts a gentle circle of light around you. You do not need to see far ahead. You only need to see the next step. Let that light calm your thoughts, easing the tension of tomorrow. With Jesus beside you, you never walk alone through the darkness. Rest in that gentle assurance. Fact 70. As Jesus moved among the hills of Judea, he spoke of a shepherd who leaves his flock in safe hands to search for the one sheep that has wandered far. He described the shepherd's heart, not frustrated, not angry, but determined and tender, climbing rocky terrain and calling out softly into the valleys. When the lost sheep is found, the shepherd lifts it gently onto his shoulders and carries it home with joy. This teaching unveils a love that pursues with patience and carries with compassion. Tonight, imagine yourself as that weary sheep, hearing his gentle footsteps drawing near. Feel the moment when he gathers you into his arms, strong yet tender, the weight of loneliness lifting from your spirit. Let the warmth of his joy in finding you guide you into deep, peaceful rest. Fact 71. One day, Jesus stood in the temple courts and said, "If anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink." He revealed a teaching about spiritual thirst, a longing no earthly pleasure or accomplishment can satisfy. His invitation was simple and soothing. Come, rest, receive. Not strive, not achieve, not earn. Just drink from the well of his love. Tonight, imagine approaching a quiet spring, hidden within a peaceful garden, the water clear and cool, flowing softly over smooth stones. You kneel, cupping your hands to drink, and feel refreshment spreading through your entire being. Let that spiritual nourishment soothe every dry place within you. You are invited to draw from an endless source, a well that never runs dry. Allow his presence to quench the thirst you barely have words for. Fact 72. As Jesus entered the home of a respected religious leader, a woman known for her past sins approached him with trembling devotion. She wept at his feet, her tears falling like soft rain upon his skin, and anointed him with costly perfume. The room judged her, but Jesus did not. Instead, he taught that love expressed from a forgiven heart is precious beyond measure. Her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. He said gently. Tonight, imagine the fragrance of that perfume filling a quiet room, sweet and calming, rising like a prayer. Feel the tender truth that forgiveness opens the door to deep, genuine love. You are not defined by your past. You are defined by his mercy. Let that mercy wrap around you like a soft blanket, inviting your spirit to rest without fear. Fact 73. As Jesus taught the crowds gathered along the lakeshore, he spoke of a wise builder who counted the cost before laying a foundation. This gentle teaching reminds us that faith is not a hurried decision, but a thoughtful, steady commitment, like stones carefully placed one by one. He invited his followers to consider their path, not with fear, but with peaceful intention, knowing that a life built upon him would stand firm through every season. Tonight, imagine yourself laying smooth stones along a quiet riverside, each one representing trust, hope, surrendered dreams. Feel the calm assurance that comes from building slowly, purposefully, lovingly. There is no rush in God's timing. Your foundation is being laid with care, and every small step of faith strengthens your soul. Rest in the certainty that what is built on Christ cannot be shaken. Fact 74. One evening, Jesus spoke of a servant returning from the fields, still choosing to serve with humility. He taught that true discipleship flows from a heart of gentle devotion, not from a desire for recognition. This teaching frees the soul from the weight of needing praise. It invites us into the quiet joy of loving service. Tonight, imagine yourself in a peaceful home, lit by candlelight, offering small acts of kindness, setting out bread, pouring water, folding warm cloths. Each action simple, unhurried, sacred. Feel how humility softens your spirit, making space for grace to breathe. The work of love is never wasted, even when unseen. Let the quiet dignity of service wash over you, easing tension and drawing you gently into rest, knowing God cherishes every humble offering. Fact 75. As Jesus sat among his disciples, he told the story of a man who invited many guests to a great banquet. Yet those first invited made excuses, distracted by fields, tasks, and obligations. So the master welcomed the poor, the crippled, the blind, and the lame, those who never expected an invitation. Through this tender teaching, Jesus revealed God's heart for the overlooked and the undervalued. His table is wide, his welcome warm, his joy found in gathering those who feel unworthy. Tonight, imagine entering a radiant hall filled with gentle music and soft lantern light. Your place is prepared, your seat waiting, your presence desired. Feel the warmth of belonging without condition. Let that image soothe every ache of isolation, reminding you that in God's kingdom, you are always deeply, joyfully welcomed. Fact 76. As Jesus walked with his disciples, he spoke of the house swept clean, warning gently that a heart emptied but not filled can become vulnerable again. His teaching was not meant to frighten, but to encourage a deeper invitation, to fill one's inner life with God's presence, not merely remove what harms. A clean house is quiet, but a filled house is alive. Tonight, imagine your heart as a softly lit home at dusk, windows warm with inner light, gentle music drifting in the air. Every room is occupied by peace, by gratitude, by the nearness of Christ himself. Feel the comfort of fullness, the quiet joy of a soul no longer empty, but lovingly inhabited by God. Let that steady, gentle presence soothe you into deeper rest. Fact 77. When Jesus healed the bent-over woman in the synagogue, a woman who had carried her burden for 18 long years, he did so with tenderness, speaking freedom into her weary body. His gentle touch restored her not only physically, but emotionally, drawing her from the shadows into the joy of standing tall once more. This moment reveals a teaching wrapped in compassion. God sees the burdens you've carried far too long. He longs to lift them, to straighten what has been bent, to bring dignity where there has been heaviness. Tonight, Imagine Jesus placing his hand lightly on your back, his voice soft yet strong as he whispers freedom over your spirit. Feel the weight slowly easing, your posture relaxing, your heart rising into a new sense of lightness. Let his healing presence bring comfort and deep, peaceful release. Fact 78. As Jesus approached Jerusalem, he paused to look over the city and wept, not with anger, but with aching love. He longed for his people to know the peace he offered, the peace they were too distracted to see. This tender moment reveals a teaching about divine compassion. God's heart breaks not out of judgment, but out of longing for our wholeness. Tonight, imagine Jesus standing beside you, looking gently into your life with that same compassionate gaze, not disappointed, not frustrated, but deeply loving. He understands every sorrow, every fear, every hope hidden inside you. Feel his longing for your peace, his desire for your rest, his gentle nearness soothing your spirit like a warm breeze in the evening air. Let his compassion cradle you into stillness, reminding you that you are deeply cherished. Fact 79. As Jesus taught near the temple courts, he spoke the gentle truth that whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and whoever humbles himself will be exalted. This wasn't a warning. It was a soft reassurance that humility is a safe and sacred path. Pride weighs the heart down with comparison and striving, but humility lightens it, opening space for grace to breathe. Jesus himself walked this path, quiet, tender, unassuming, drawing near to the lowly and lifting them with love. Tonight, imagine yourself setting down heavy burdens of self-expectation, releasing the tension of trying to be more than human. Feel humility settling around you like a warm shawl, soft, comforting, freeing. God meets you in this gentle posture, raising you not with applause, but with peace. Let humility usher you into rest, calm as a still night. Fact 80. One quiet morning, Jesus taught that the kingdom of God is like a net cast into the sea, gathering fish of every kind. With this simple image, he revealed a teaching about God's wide embrace, an invitation extended to every soul, no matter their story, their wounds, or their wandering. The kingdom is not a narrow gate kept by human judgment, but a vast ocean of mercy where all are gathered with patience and love. Tonight, imagine the sea beneath a silver moon, gentle waves brushing the shoreline. Picture that net drifting through calm waters, gathering with care rather than force. Let the image remind you that you are never beyond God's reach. His love gathers you, welcomes you, and holds you gently in his vast compassion. Feel the wideness of his mercy surrounding you like ocean air. Fact 81. As Jesus traveled through the villages of Galilee, a rich young ruler approached him with sincere questions about eternal life. Jesus looked at him, not with impatience, but with deep love. He invited the man to loosen his grip on earthly attachments, to step into the freedom of wholehearted devotion. Though the man walked away sorrowful, the teaching remains tender. God desires our hearts more than our achievements, our presence more than our possessions. Tonight, imagine Jesus looking at you with that same gentle love, his eyes warm and understanding. Feel his invitation, not demanding, not forceful, but softly calling you toward what brings true life. Let your heart loosen its grip on what exhausts you, opening instead to the peace that comes from loving him simply, deeply, calmly. Let that quiet invitation guide you toward deeper rest. Fact 82. As Jesus gathered with the crowds, he spoke words that have settled gently into countless weary hearts. Let the one who is without sin cast the first stone. He offered this teaching not with sternness, but with a compassion that slowed the rushing judgment of angry hands. One by one, the stones fell to the ground, their hardness replaced by a softer understanding. In that sacred pause, Jesus showed that mercy is always stronger than condemnation. Tonight, imagine those stones falling around you. Every harsh thought you've held against yourself, every unforgiving whisper, dropping quietly to the earth. Feel the relief as he lifts your chin with gentle kindness and whispers, "Neither do I condemn you." Let his mercy wash over you like warm rain, softening your spirit into peace. Fact 83. As Jesus walked toward Jerusalem for the final time, he paused beneath the branches of a fig tree. Finding it without fruit, he spoke words that seemed stern, but carried a deeper teaching. A life rooted in God naturally bears fruit in its season. He wasn't demanding perfection. He was inviting authenticity and growth. Fruitfulness is not a performance. It is the quiet outflow of a heart connected to him. Tonight, imagine yourself as a tree planted beside a calm river, its water steady and clean. Feel your roots reaching into that living stream, drawing nourishment through trust, surrender, and rest. The fruit will come, slowly, gently, without pressure. Let go of the need to produce and simply dwell beside the river of his presence. Allow that sense of steady growth to lull you into deeper stillness. Fact 84. In the temple courts, Jesus watched as the religious leaders carried themselves with pride, seeking honor at every gathering. He spoke a tender teaching that turned the world's values upside down. The greatest among you will be your servant. These words weren't a rebuke. They were a loving invitation into freedom. Service is the gentle posture that transforms the heart, making space for joy, humility, and quiet significance. Tonight, imagine Jesus kneeling with a towel and basin, washing dusty feet with slow, deliberate care. Then imagine him coming to you, not to demand, but to show you the beauty of gentleness. Feel the soft glow of humility warming your spirit, easing every strain of pride or pressure. In serving and being served, you enter into the deepest rhythm of his love. Let that rhythm carry you into calm rest. Fact 85. As Jesus walked through the courts of the temple, he noticed people placing their offerings into the treasury, some loudly, some proudly. Then a poor widow stepped forward and gave 2 small copper coins, nearly silent as they fell. Jesus whispered a teaching wrapped in eternal gentleness. True giving is measured not by the amount, but by the heart. The smallest gift, when offered with love, shines like a jewel in heaven's light. Tonight, imagine those 2 coins resting in your palm. Simple, humble, warm from her hand. Feel their quiet weight, their quiet beauty. Let them remind you that God cherishes sincerity more than spectacle. Every small act of love you offer rises before him like a sweet fragrance. Let this soften your spirit, easing every burden of expectation, guiding you peacefully toward rest. Fact 86. As Jesus stood before a crowd, longing for direction, he spoke the words, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Not a path to struggle toward, but a presence to walk with. Not distant truth, but embodied love. Not mere existence, but life in full, gentle abundance. This teaching reveals that peace is not found in achieving clarity, but in trusting the one who walks beside you. Tonight, imagine yourself on a quiet path at sunset, golden light spilling across the stones. Jesus walks with you, steady and calm, his pace matching yours. You don't have to know what lies far ahead. You only need to take the next soft step with Him near. Feel the reassurance of His companionship settling over you like a warm cloak. Let His presence guide your thoughts toward deep, soothing rest. Fact 87. During His final meal with the disciples, Jesus took bread into His hands, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, given for you." His voice held no fear, only love deep enough to pour itself out. In that moment, He taught that love gives, nourishes, and sacrifices so others may find life. It was a teaching wrapped in quiet tenderness, a love that invites remembrance, gratitude, and peace. Tonight, imagine sitting in that upper room, the lamplight golden, the air still. Jesus extends the bread toward you, not with demand, but with devotion. Feel the depth of His love settling over your heart like warm oil. You are remembered. You are cherished. Let His self-giving love soothe every lonely corner of your spirit, drawing you gently into calm. Fact 88. In the quiet upper room, after washing His disciples' feet, Jesus spoke a new command. Love one another as I have loved you. Not as the world loves, with conditions, fear, or pride, but with the gentleness of a Savior kneeling before His friends. This teaching invites the heart into a deeper tenderness, a love that serves, forgives, and holds space for others with grace. Tonight, imagine Jesus washing your feet with warm water, His touch gentle, His presence calm. Feel the humility of His love, steady, unhurried, cleansing not only the dust from your skin, but the heaviness from your spirit. Let His example settle into you like a lullaby of mercy. In His love, you are called to love, quietly, sincerely, peacefully. Fact 89. As Jesus walked with His disciples toward the Mount of Olives, He spoke of a peace unlike anything the world could offer. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. This was not the fragile peace of circumstance, but the deep, anchored peace that comes from divine presence. A peace that remains even when storms whisper at the edges of the soul. Tonight, imagine a soft breeze drifting through olive branches, their leaves shimmering under moonlight. This is the peace Jesus gives. Cool, calming, steadying. Feel it settling into you, easing tension in your shoulders, loosening thoughts that cling too tightly. His peace is not earned. It is given freely, like a gentle hand resting over your heart. Let that gift cradle you into deep, soothing stillness. Fact 90. On the night He was betrayed, Jesus lifted His eyes to heaven and prayed for His followers, those with Him, and those yet to come. He prayed for unity, for protection, for joy, and for love to shape their lives. This teaching, wrapped in prayer, reveals His tender desire for us to live in harmony, not conflict, in compassion, not division. You are included in that prayer, your life, your story, your heart. Tonight, imagine Jesus praying over you with soft, earnest words, His voice steady and full of affection. Feel His blessing resting on your spirit like dew on morning grass. You are not alone in your journey. You are held within His prayers, carried by His hope, and cherished by His love. Let that truth settle deep within you as you drift gently toward rest. Fact 91. As Jesus stood before Pilate, silent and steady, He revealed a teaching not through words, but through the calm strength of His presence. Though falsely accused, though surrounded by noise and hostility, He did not lash out or defend Himself with anger. His peace in that moment taught that true strength is not loud. It is grounded, gentle, rooted in trust. Tonight, imagine Jesus standing in that quiet dignity, a soft light surrounding Him, even in the midst of turmoil. Let his calm become your calm, his steadiness your steadiness. Feel anxiety melting from your chest as you settle into the truth that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of God. Let his quiet courage soothe you, anchoring you like a warm hand resting over your heart. Fact 92. As Jesus carried the cross through the streets of Jerusalem, stumbling under its weight, he spoke little, but his actions taught a love beyond measure. A love that carries burdens not its own. A love that endures pain so others may find healing. A love that gives without holding back. In this profound teaching, we learn that love sometimes looks like quiet endurance, like choosing compassion even when it costs something deep. Tonight, imagine Jesus pausing on his path, lifting his eyes toward you, not with exhaustion, but with unwavering love. Feel that love reaching across time, gentle and steady, whispering that your burdens matter to him. Let his sacrificial tenderness ease the heaviness within you, lightening your spirit the way dawn light softens the darkness. You are loved with a love that did not hesitate. Fact 93. As Jesus spoke from the cross, his voice weak yet filled with grace, he offered a teaching that reshapes the world. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Even in agony, his heart beat with forgiveness, not bitterness, not revenge, but compassion deep enough to cover even those who wounded him. This teaching invites you to rest in the truth that forgiveness is stronger than hurt, and love is greater than pain. Tonight, imagine those words flowing like soft rain over every broken memory, every harsh moment, every wound that still aches within you. Feel the gentle release that forgiveness brings, washing through your soul like a healing stream. In his mercy, your heart finds room to breathe again, to soften, to rest. Let that mercy settle you into deep, tranquil quiet. Fact 94. In his final moments on the cross, Jesus spoke the gentle yet triumphant words, "It is finished." Not a cry of defeat, but a whisper of completion, soft, steady, full of divine certainty. He taught that redemption is not earned by human effort, but offered through his perfect love. Every barrier between you and God was dissolved in that tender declaration. Tonight, imagine those words drifting through the quiet evening air like a warm breeze. It is finished. Feel the relief they carry, washing over you like a wave of light. Every fear eased, every burden loosened, every longing touched by grace. Let those words settle deep within your spirit, reminding you that you rest not in your strength, but in his finished work, a foundation steady enough to cradle you into sleep. Fact 95. After his resurrection, Jesus appeared to his disciples in a locked room where fear and uncertainty hung thick like heavy fog. He did not scold them. He did not demand explanations. He simply spoke one gentle word: peace. A peace that moved through walls, through fear, through trembling hearts. This teaching reveals a truth both comforting and profound. Jesus enters closed spaces. He steps into the rooms where anxiety hides, where doubts whisper, where hope feels fragile. Tonight, imagine Jesus entering the quiet room of your heart, soft light surrounding him. He comes not to condemn, but to calm, not to question, but to comfort. Let his peace drift through every corner of your mind like a warm breeze gently opening a window. You are safe in his presence, even behind doors you thought were locked. Fact 96. On the shore of Galilee, after a night of fruitless fishing, Jesus called out to his disciples, guiding them to cast their nets on the other side. The waters suddenly filled with abundance, nets heavy with unexpected blessing. Through this serene morning miracle, He taught that obedience, even in small things, opens the door to divine provision. He meets us in our weary efforts, turning emptiness into fullness with gentle direction. Tonight, imagine yourself standing on that peaceful shore, dawn light shimmering across the water. Jesus calls to you with warmth in his voice, inviting you to trust him again. Feel hope rising quietly within you, like the tide touching the sand. Let his invitation soothe your spirit, reminding you that abundance often comes just after the moment you feel like giving up. Fact 97. After his resurrection, Jesus prepared breakfast for his disciples by the sea. Fish cooking over a quiet fire, the morning air cool and filled with gentle light. This simple act, tender and unhurried, became a teaching of restoration. Peter, weighed down by regret and sorrow, found himself welcomed, not judged. Jesus asked him softly, 3 times, "Do you love me?" Each question healing one of Peter's earlier denials. Through this moment, Jesus taught that love restores what fear has broken. Tonight, imagine sitting beside that warm fire, the soft crackle mingling with the rhythm of waves. You feel no condemnation, only the warmth of a Savior who knows your failures, yet calls you beloved. Let his restoring love ease every ache, every regret, every fragment of self-blame. You are forgiven. You are welcomed once more. Fact 98. As Jesus walked with 2 disciples along the road to Emmaus, they did not recognize him at first. He listened to their sorrow, their confusion, their disappointment. Then, beginning with Moses and the prophets, he gently unfolded scripture to them. Soft truths dawning like sunlight, breaking through morning mist. Only when he broke bread at their table did their eyes open and their hearts burned with quiet joy. This teaching shows that Jesus walks with us even when we fail to see him. He listens patiently, guides quietly, and reveals himself at just the right moment. Tonight, imagine him walking beside you on your own road. Your questions, your hopes, your sorrows gently held by his presence. Feel the warmth rising in your heart as you realize he has been with you all along. Let that awareness comfort you into peaceful rest. Fact 99. Before ascending into heaven, Jesus gathered his disciples and spoke the Great Commission. Go and make disciples of all nations, and surely I am with you always. His teaching was not merely a task, it was a promise, a presence, a gentle assurance that wherever life would take them, they would never walk alone. This commission carries both purpose and comfort. Your life has meaning, and God's presence accompanies you through each step. Tonight, imagine Jesus placing his hand on your shoulder, his eyes warm with encouragement. You feel seen, valued, strengthened, not with pressure, but with peace. His promise lingers in the air like a soft echo. I am with you always. Let that companionship calm every restless thought. You are guided. You are supported. You are never alone, not even now, as sleep begins to unfurl its quiet wings around you. Fact 100. Before ascending into the heavens, Jesus lifted his hands in blessing over his disciples. It was a quiet moment, touched by wind and light. His final earthly teaching before being carried into glory. He did not leave them with fear, but with benediction, a soft, steady blessing that wrapped around their hearts like a warm cloak. His final gesture revealed a tender truth. God's desire is to bless, to steady, to accompany his children with unfailing love. Tonight, imagine standing beneath those uplifted hands, feeling the gentle weight of that eternal blessing settling over you. A blessing for peace, for guidance, for rest, for hope, that lingers like dawn on the horizon. You are held beneath that same blessing even now. Let it ease your breath, calm your thoughts, and carry you softly toward sleep, wrapped in His unending grace. And now, as the final whispers of this night's pilgrimage fade into the quiet around you, let your spirit rest gently in all that has unfolded. You have walked beside Jesus through His teachings, His parables, His miracles, and His moments of deep compassion. You have wandered along calm shores, sat beneath soft lantern light, followed Him through quiet hillsides, and listened as His voice drifted like a tender breeze across the stillness of your heart. Tonight, you have journeyed through 100 sacred truths, each one a candle, each one a seed, each one a soft reminder of His love that does not tire, His mercy that does not end, and His presence that does not drift away when the night grows deep. You've lingered beside the shepherd who seeks the lost, the teacher who speaks in gentle parables, the healer who touches the weary, the Savior who kneels to wash feet with hands full of grace. You've rested beneath the blessing of His words, letting them fall like warm rain across the landscapes of your soul. And perhaps, in these moments, something inside you loosened, softened, breathed again. You've walked beside prophets, fishermen, children, and the brokenhearted. You've stood at the edges of miracles and felt the quiet hum of eternity in each one. You've watched His compassion stretch across every boundary, reaching for the lonely, the overlooked, the wounded, and the forgotten. And somewhere in these stories, Jesus reached for you too, tenderly, patiently, lovingly. Let your heart hold on to one thing most of all. You are loved with a love deeper than oceans, warmer than firelight, steadier than the turning of the stars. You are known completely and cherished completely, wrapped in a grace that lingers even now, even here, as sleep begins to settle over your thoughts like a soft, descending hush. So, breathe slow and breathe deep. Let the night cradle you in stillness. Let the peace of God gather around you like gentle arms drawing you close. Everything that sought your attention today can rest now. Everything unfinished can wait for the dawn. Here, in this quiet hour, you are safe. You are held. You are enveloped in a love that watches over you even as your eyes grow heavy. If tonight's journey brought peace to your spirit, if it helped your mind unwind or helped your heart feel seen, consider leaving a like, subscribing, or sharing which part of Scripture you'd love to dream through next. And when your spirit is ready for another gentle walk with God, simply click the video waiting on your screen. There will always be another path of peace, another night of quiet wonder, another soft whisper of truth carried on the still air of His presence. For now, rest. Let the shepherd stand watch over your dreams. Let the light of the world illuminate your rest with calm. Let the Prince of Peace breathe comfort over you until morning breaks with tender new mercy. May peace guard your dreams until morning, and may grace be the first light to greet you when you wake. Amen.